It is very realistic to go out there with little or no real estate experience, with little or no money or credit, to go out there and start doing a deal a month consistently. Now you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Getting into real estate is something that anyone and everyone can do, whether they've got a background experience or whether they've got money or neither of those.
Hey, welcome back to the VIP Financial Education YouTube channel, where we help you go further, faster financially while remaining safe in the process. All right, YouTube, thank you so much for joining us here on our channel. VIP Financial Education is the name of this channel. My name is Matthew Pillmore. They call me the Cash Flow King. We're really here to preserve lifestyle. I want people to be able to buy the things that they like, but avoid spending money on things you hate, like hundreds of thousands in interest costs, for example, on home loans that are, for whatever reason, 30 years in length. It's out of control. So make sure you're a subscriber to the channel so that you can learn many different ways of hacking and beating the banks at their own game. I will say that today we do want to focus on real estate yet again. So if you are interested in real estate investing at any level, regardless of where you're starting out, today's episode is going to be for you. I've got a really successful real estate investor sitting next to me. His name is Michael Mathe, and with almost 200 doors, he's going to have a lot to say regarding how to go about building real estate investing best practices, how to go out and make yourself successful in any market, because we're all concerned, of course, with the volatility of the economy right now. I mean, who the hell knows what's going on politically? Who knows how long this bull market is going to continue? I think we can all agree that there are changes on the horizon. It's just a question of how far away are they? And so I want to know from a guy like this, how can we ensure success even if there is a turn? Beyond that, obviously, I want to find out whether or not lease options are a way of pursuing wealth creation right now. We've heard a lot about it, spoke with Chris Crone about that recently. We've been pursuing it ourselves to some extent, and we do feel like it's an alternative to generating cash flow over somewhat extended periods of time, whether it be 12 months, 18 months, sometimes even 24 months or longer, and you don't necessarily have to put your own money and your own credit on the line. I think that's really intriguing. So I'd like to kind of pick your brain a little bit and find out, number one, how do we really establish for ourselves at any level of our real estate investing best practices to focus on from one day to the next, basically?
Yeah, so a couple different ways, and I can just speak from my own experience. So I found a great mentor, first and foremost. I think when you surround yourself by people that have, gone out there and made their way, and they've made all the mistakes. So, the fewer mistakes you can make because of someone else's or gleaning someone else's experience, I think is an absolute key. Also surrounding yourself by like-minded people. Almost every city or market out there has got multiple RIAs, so Real Estate Investment Association groups. Go in there and just be a sponge. One of the cool things about real estate that I've always liked, there's so many different ways that you can make money at any level, with or without cash, with or without a lot of experience. I read a ton of books, surrounded myself by people that were successful in real estate. I think that more so than anything, I would always encourage people to do that and be relentless in your pursuit of it, whether it's real estate or whatever else you're trying to achieve in life. I think just that unwillingness to fail at whatever that endeavor is, and just persevering through that, I think is always going to be a best practice that I'm going to recommend someone. So a lot of it mental.
I think it is going to boil down to really having a passion for it, right? Because if you hate something, you can't do what you're talking about here. You wouldn't be tenacious about your activity, right? You don't wake up excited if it's hitting the fan and you're hating what you're doing. And there are many, many days where it's just a series of putting out one fire after the next. And I've been having one of those days today. I've been spending between conversations with you a lot of my time dealing with a contractor, and I drove out to a property earlier today. So, this is not as passive as people would maybe hint at. There's a lot of people that kind of give the impression that real estate investing at any level is passive income, and that's not been my experience. It's been a very hands-on project for me. So loving it has really contributed to my willingness to remain excited even when things are going wrong. Have you found that too?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just one of those intangibles. Obviously, you can't just make yourself, or you can't force it. And I can honestly sit here with you today and tell you I literally love what I do. I love waking up every day. Now, there's days that are exceptions to that rule, of course. And like you said, business is typically just a series of putting out fires, and some of them are fun, some are not so fun. But I'm passionate about it. I love it, and I've done other things that were not real estate related in my life, and I couldn't say the same things about those. So I love waking up every day. Life is short, so when people aren't happy with what they've got going on from a professional standpoint in life, I always say, you know what, obviously don't just quit your job if you don't have anything to replace that income. That would be foolish, but life's short. Do something you love, whether it's real estate or whatever the case may be, something that you get excited to wake up for every single morning. And I'm fortunate enough, and I think that you are too, that we're in that place in life. So if people are interested in real estate out there, get involved in it. Learn as much as you can. There's tons of free information out there. There's also a lot of white noise. There's a lot of gurus out there. I always tell people, if you're going to go look for a mentor or that guru, make sure that they're actually doing deals also. There's so many people out there that are talking about real estate investment theories. Well, I can sit here and regurgitate theories to you all day long, but if I can't show you the application of those in my own personal portfolio, how am I the authority, right? So
great point. And I think one of the best resources for finding these groups and free information is meetup.com, something that didn't exist when I first started getting involved with real estate investment associations, but certainly makes finding them very easy. And I usually recommend people get involved with the groups that are larger in size, find the groups where it's success-based. There are plenty of smaller-based meetup real estate investor networking groups where you're dealing with a lot of peers, people who don't have a lot of experience. And I would encourage you to sort of steer clear of that. You want groups where there are really, really success-minded people and results-based people sitting next to you that you can brush shoulders with. And it's always about exchange of value, equal exchange of value. Be there to offer assistance in any way that you can, your strengths, whether it be credit-based, whether it be lender-based, whether it be borrowing strength, whether it be that you're really great at carpentry or swinging a hammer, you understand how to put sweat equity into property, or you're great at finding deals. All of that can contribute positively to a partnership with somebody that has tremendously more experience than you do. In fact, I actually was on a network here today on Facebook, real estate investor mastermind group that I'm a part of, that had a guy come in and he was talking about picking up a 10-deal portfolio, and it's his very first investment. And he really stumbled his way into this amazing deal with an elderly seller that was just interested in getting his monthly payment. And for literally $10,000 down, he ended up with 10 deals with only 6 of them being rented. He's at a $1,600 per month positive cash flow position. This is like a slam dunk type of deal, grand slam. He knocked it out of the park with his first one, but it really inspired my interest in potentially collaborating with this kid, right? Because he was demonstrating a hustle that you don't see often. And so someone like me who has 15, 16, 17 years worth of real estate investment experience at this point, I'm interested in working with him. I have access to a lot of capital. And so you can get out there and you can really earn yourself a reputation for being somebody that other people want to work with. So get involved in the network, and like Michael said, be a sponge, learn from the education that's being taught at these meetings. Usually they'll meet once per month, is most common. And I would just go to all of them near me for the biggest and most success-minded groups, and then pick the ones that I feel I have the best connection with, the best compatibility with, and start attending those regularly. And I'm talking for years and years straight minimum, if not indefinitely. That would be my recommendation.
No, absolutely. And there's, like I said, there's obviously different levels of getting involved in real estate investing. People that are really just trying to stick their toe in the water. There's some very creative strategies out there right now that are taught at those real estate investment association groups. So a lot of high value at those.
So 2 other things I wanted to talk about. So I want to touch on Lease Options, because this guy's a master at the lease option business model. Little Pink Houses of America is a really great biz op for those of you guys that are looking for sort of that business in a box. It's not network marketing. It is not multi-level in any way. But it certainly has the blueprint there for you to succeed, and succeed in a big way. I'm talking tens of thousands per month with 20, 30, 40 hours per week. And when I say tens of thousands, I'm talking 10, 20, 30, $40,000 a month, being completely realistic for somebody with absolutely no experience in real estate. So if you already have experience in real estate, or if you have sales experience, it can be even easier. But you're really solving a huge problem in the marketplace. I had confronted Michael at one point about having concerns regarding the transactional nature of their flagship part of this model. And I'll put a link in the description so you guys can go and visit our interview regarding what that model is, so we don't have to repeat ourselves on that. But the response was that you guys are bringing lease options in to supplement the transactional nature in order to get that more residual, cash flow each month. Tell me a little bit about the lease option market in general.
Yeah, so lease options have been around forever. We certainly didn't create that, but what we've done is taken that strategy that's really existed since really the 70s is when they started, late 70s when they started to become a little bit more prevalent. But we fill a tremendous void. So people that are either actively trying to sell their house or have been unable to sell their house, this gives them kind of an option B or plan B, if you will. And ultimately, if they can wait 6-12 months to get cashed out, they make more money. They're not paying real estate commissions. They're typically not covering buyer closing costs. The buyers that we work with are the demographic of our buyers, a lot of self-employed or people that have a down payment, they can afford a mortgage, they just can't walk into the bank today. There's so many deals that are falling out during underwriting right now, and there's no end in sight on that. Banking restrictions are going to continue to get tight. We all know what happened the last time they got really loose, and I don't anticipate that happening again, not to that extreme, of course. So a lease option is really that bridge to permanent financing for the buyers. It's a creative, non-traditional investment strategy for investors where they're able to, what we call, have control without ownership. So it gives them equitable interest in the title of the home, allows them to do these transactions and market properties without being a licensed agent or a broker, so there's no licensing concerns.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're doing right by both parties. The seller makes more money, the buyer's in their kind of dream home today when they really, their only other option is to rent because they can't walk in and get a traditional mortgage right now. And of course, for being that, what we call transaction engineer, which basically is facilitating the two, and you're getting paid for your knowledge. It's a great strategy. That particular one does not require cash or credit, so those of you that are watching that are really wanting to get involved in real estate without that capital risk, perfect strategy for that. There's tons of information out there online where you can really teach yourself, and you can even get the contracts and documents specific to your state online in many cases. So lease options are great because you're not laying cash on the table and you can make a fairly significant profit. Typically on a lease option, what Pink does is we do what's called an executive lease purchase. So it's an absolute agreement to purchase the home from day one. The buyer is simply buying it on terms, typically 6 to 12, 18 months on the long end. And we make on average about $15,000 per deal with those. A lease option is a little bit more of a test drive. So there's not an absolute contract or an agreement to buy the home, but they are basically putting a few $1,000s down to test drive the home, and then at the end of a 1 year or 2 year term, which are really kind of the standards on it, they can decide whether or not they want to exercise the option to purchase the home. So it is not, from a seller's standpoint, an absolute guaranteed exit strategy like ours is, but they are saying, I'll let you rent, here's kind of our strike price, if you will, and a year or two down the road, let me know if you want to exercise your option. For putting those deals together, if you make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on the high end as far as residential, that would be a good average deal. So those deals are all over the place. And your market, and I don't care where you're watching from, those deals exist. Typically for sale by owner sellers are a great demographic. You can find those for free all over the internet. Zillow would be a great place for that. People actively trying to sell their home. These are not fixer-uppers. These are retail-based properties. They're actively raising their hand and saying, I'm trying to sell my house, but I'm not listing with a real estate agent because I don't want to pay the 6%. That's a great target demographic. If you are a licensed agent or know someone that is and you've got access to expired listings, so people that have had their house up on the multiple listing services and for one reason or another haven't been able to sell it, those people were motivated. Now they took their house down for one reason or another, but that doesn't mean circumstances have changed.
It might be even more motivated.
Absolutely,
really.
Yeah, absolutely. So those would be two ways where you can go out there anywhere you're at and find those leads, convert those in with a little bit of knowledge and doing some homework, of course, to make sure that you're following a good blueprint to go out there and make those $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 hits without having to, again, risk cash. If you're moving forward with Pink, like a lot of people have, obviously, a little bit more structure to it. Obviously, the profit margins are a little bit higher, and you're following a specific blueprint with coaching and obviously support on a day-to-day basis. It's a true partnership and soon to be franchisor franchisee relationship. So, but you can do it on your own. Those deals do exist out there.
And so I think what kind of stuck with me is you really don't have to have nearly as much skin in the game.
Correct.
Going with this option. So you're not on the hook for down payments, you're not on the hook for credit, you're not on the hook for a 30-year mortgage, you're not on the hook for even purchasing the property if it falls out, right? And you're basically picking up a third-party end buyer, and you're essentially just assigning that contract to purchase to somebody else. So you're not buying the home yourself, you're just cash flowing in the meantime, and you're also able to pick up the equity position as well. So it's amazing. It's kind of a win-win. You're able to avoid all of that financial and even licensing red tape.
Yep.
So you don't have to be an agent and go out there and spend money to get your real estate license and so forth. So this is a really great workaround, in my opinion. Definitely worth looking further into, guys. And like Michael said, Little Pink Houses of America is a sponsor of this channel. We've featured them a lot on the channel because we love their business model. We think it's an incredible opportunity for a lot of people to make great money and to start transitioning away from things that they don't love as much. And if you want to make $250,000 a year or $500,000 a year, this is an excellent starting point for that. So go ahead and email pink@vipfinancialeducation.com if you are interested in learning more and getting a discovery call with Michael and his team regarding that. One thing I do want to add too is we've got a really great resource coming up that we're going to be featuring here on the channel that will help you guys do the research to find these specific deals. If you're not yet a subscriber, make sure you hit the subscribe button and become one so that you can see when that video drops. But I'm curious, how do you really generate leads in any market then?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to do it. From at Pink, we've got a full-time call center in-house. So on behalf of our affiliate franchisees around the country, our biggest method for lead generation is direct phone call, cold calling. We find the leads just the same way I just illustrated there. We find them through Zillow. There's other lead sources. We just think that you know, kind of that human touch, if you will, and making that phone call, or our call center making a first contact with them, goes a long way. Direct mail is a phenomenal way to generate leads. So
you're still using direct mail?
We do.
Lead sources through Craigslist at all at this point?
Yeah, Craigslist is a great lead source.
Really?
Yeah, for like a lease option or a lease purchase type of deal. Craigslist for rent by owner is an absolute gold mine. They're typically higher dollar homes, or you can filter out the higher dollar homes, but most people didn't go out and buy a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 house to have it as a rental.
True.
The cost basis doesn't make sense. You would rather buy three $100,000 houses 100%. Than one $300,000 house. That's a great resource. So Craigslist, direct mail, targeting either listed properties or off-market homes with direct mail is phenomenal. So you can get lists. Any of you watching can get lists. There's lots of lead sources out there. Info USA is one where you can get lists of homes that are either leveraged or over leveraged. So these people, they may want to sell their home, they've thought about it, but they don't have the equity position that will allow them to go out there and sell the home on the traditional market without bringing a big check to closing. We do really well with that direct mail for that. Obviously networking, you know, kind of that old school guerrilla grassroots marketing effort, you know, is phenomenal. Door hangers, you know, things like that people have been using for years are still really effective. And you get a really good response rate that obviously warrants a solid ROI, and you rinse and repeat. You know, whatever's working, test marketing, but those would be the biggest lead generation resources that we utilize right now. And
so one last quick question. Let's say I want to start from scratch, and I have very little, if any, experience in real estate at all, but I like the idea of not having the financial barriers, and I like the idea of not having to deal with the licensing red tape too. So I want to dive into this kind of concept to generate revenues. How realistic is it for me to hit a, say, $8,000 to $10,000 per month revenue within the first year or two?
It's very realistic. So creative and non-traditional deals like that, I mean, I've been doing them for years, and this was long before Pink, and I did them as a one-man show. And early on, when I really didn't have much, if any, real estate investing experience, you know, I read everything I could get my hands on, and just being that sponge obviously just paid great dividends, and I'm certainly going to encourage everyone to do that as well. But it is very realistic to go out there with little or no real estate experience, with little or no money or credit to go out there and start doing a deal a month consistently. Now you're going to get out of it what you put into it. You know, this is not ever going to be a get rich quick scheme. People that think that they can roll out of bed and generate $1 million, share your secrets with me. I'd love to learn how to do that. I'm not aware of anyone that can at this point, but getting into real estate is something that anyone and everyone can do, whether they've got a background experience or whether they've got money or neither of those.
Well, I found it interesting because earlier today we had a conversation with two individuals that actually teamed up with Michael and Pink that found him through this channel. They're just like you, and the first one made $16,000 and the second one made $22,000, and they're just getting started, guys. This is basically brand new affiliates and associates with Pink Houses. So if it's something that you guys are looking to learn more about, make sure you check the description for a link to a video that we created once, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago at this point, and it'll explain exactly what this business model is, give you a lot more clarity on how you might be able to get involved, and then you can email pink@vipfinancialeducation.com to schedule a discovery session. It's a phone call with these guys and their team to say, hey, what are you looking for? What do you want to get out of this? What does success look like to you? And is there potential compatibility there? So definitely start taking action. I mean, that's the number one thing. You've got to be active. You can do a lot of things for free, and the stuff that I've invested in where I spent money along with my time, they paid the biggest. And it doesn't mean you have to go out and invest with these guys or invest with VIP and get coaching from us. It does mean that to be a successful business person, you should be excited about spending money, not trying to avoid it. Because when we spend money, that money doubles and triples and quadruples. So I'm not trying to keep that money in my own bank, guys. I'm trying to put all that money to work, and that's what you should be doing as well, is figuring out how to put your money to work, figuring out how you can leverage and borrow money, OPM they call it, other people's money, and put that to work. And if you can double or triple your money from somebody else's money, then you start to realize a lot of the same results that we teach here on this channel. So make sure you're a subscriber, guys. As I mentioned before, Mr. Michael Mathe, I want to thank you for being on the channel as usual. Always exciting. I love the content you bring, and as far as Pink and your business model, it's lights out. And I hope that some of you guys take advantage of it and at least check and see what other people are saying about it. We've got more and more videos being added here to our channel from real live Pink associates that are doing business in the trenches every day and are actually there to tell you what their impression of it is. So you don't have to take it from me. So until we see you on the next video, friend, appreciate you being here today. Make it a great day today, and take care.